People pleasers spiral in their mind, and emotional overfunctioners feel the panic in their body. I'm going to tell you how to know which one is which. But first, what if I told you that these behaviors look the same but have two different starting points? And if you don't know what the starting points are and how it's driving these behaviors, then you could do all the work over years and years and years and still feel stuck. You might even feel shame that you can't fix and correct the behavior that causes you distress. So here's the short answer. Sometimes it is both people pleasing and emotional overfunctioning, but not always. The starting point of these behaviors can really make a lot of difference, and some people just don't realize that nuance and the difference that it makes. So let's slow this down and really take a discerning look. People pleasing and emotional overfunctioning, yes, can look identical on the outside. You might check in, smooth tension, anticipate needs. You might explain yourself. You might over explain yourself. You might step in early. You might be saying yes when you want to say no. The list goes on. Internally, though, like I said, these behaviors can start from sort of different places and they have a little bit of a different sort of operating system. So let's start with people pleasing. People pleasing is often attachment based. It's driven by fear of rejection, judgment, loss of connection, and proximity to others. Internally, it usually sounds like a very active mind with a lot of thoughts and limiting beliefs and values based judgments. Things like, if I don't do this, I'll be disliked, I won't get the job, they'll think that I'm lazy. If I say no, something bad will happen, the work won't get done, it won't get done right. You kind of get the idea, right? This distress lives mostly in the mind. It starts in the mind and it lives in the mind. And it is made evident by that ruminating, that cycling of thoughts and limiting beliefs about how you should behave in the world, how you should show up, and that type of sort of feel. There's a ton of thinking and overthinking, and this sort of mental tug of war between what you think you should say and do and what you actually maybe want to say or do. You might track reactions, you might replay conversations, you might worry about how you come across and what people think of you, and that is the very thing that your mind is working overtime to try and manage. It's image management, perception management, keeping that proximity and that connection. Right? It's keeping you functioning from these beliefs and quote unquote people pleasing. So your body might feel activated, and often with people pleasing, it does. But the real fear driving this is the meaning making structures in your mind. It is that mental tension and urgency, and it's originating in your mind from these thoughts of who and what you should be and how you should act and so on. So, as you hear this, does it sound familiar? Does it sound like you can think of certain situations where this started in your mind with certain beliefs and thoughts, and you felt that kind of tug of war? Perhaps you can start to see this in certain types of situations or certain types of relationships, whether it's work or family or friendship or so on. Where can you notice sort of explicit thoughts of judgments of who you should be and what you should be and how to show up in the world? It could just be people pleasing that shows up in the workplace or people pleasing that shows up in your intimate relationship or both. All right, maybe this only partially feels true, like it answers some questions, but not for all of your experiences. So there is something else that could be happening more in your body than in your mind, and there isn't really like a real story or a set of very specific limiting beliefs that you can track in your mind and that you are aware of. So let me give you some real life examples to really try and see the nuance that I am talking about here, and we'll start with people pleasing. So, super simple example, your boss asks if you can take on some extra work. You are exhausted, you have more than enough work, but you say yes, not because your body was panicking without any knowledge of why, but because you don't want to be seen as unreliable, you don't want to be seen as lazy or not hardworking. Maybe you believe you're supposed to get a job and be loyal for X amount of years, and if you don't take the extra work, then you can't fulfill that belief, right? Your thoughts are going to race. Then there's going to be the tension, that mental tug of war. You don't want to disappoint. You start to feel that slippery slide of people pleasing and saying yes when you want to say no. So that's an immediate people pleasing response, and you can generally trace and track with your thoughts that explicit situation. There was some type of stimulus, and there's a very specific response with the thoughts, and then it trickles into your body with how you feel. Want to hear the difference now from emotional overfunctioning? Let me tell you. So, this one is more broad and it is more nervous system based. It originates in the body before the mind has any type of thought or belief to even tag to those sensations and emotions. There's no explicit sort of situation that started the discomfort. It's nothing that you can like exactly name. So it's not primarily about rejection or image and perception management and your personal beliefs and values based judgments. It's about an intolerance of this internal activation, these physical sensations, your human body. Sensations arise, they're highly uncomfortable, and your mind is really working hard to trying to figure out why they came up, where they came up, when did it start. There is nothing really specific. You are just feeling all of this in your body. So internally, this feels like that pressure, that panic, not wanting to sit still, not feeling like you can relax, feeling really urgent, not knowing why, feeling like you need to be doing something. I need to do something, but I don't know what I need to do. Feeling confused and irritated, your mind thinking various things and scenarios, just trying to kind of puzzle piece and fit in what started all of this. This is the distress in your body, and it started in the body, not from a specific interaction that can be clearly defined. It wasn't a specific person asking you to do something that you feel the need to people please. So you're not managing a perception like people pleasing. You're just trying to figure out the sensations in your body and how to make them stop. So, this is where a lot of emotionally intelligent adults get stuck thinking that they just can't change their behavior. I'm just going to be a people pleaser forever, or I'm going to be codependent forever, and something is wrong with them. Emotional overfunctioning gets lumped so closely to people pleasing because the behaviors on the outside can look really similar. But I'm here to tell you the nuance here can make such a big difference in how you manage these types of activations and the behaviors and sort of the follow through after. So here's a real life example of emotional overfunctioning. It's a little bit simplified, but I hope to paint enough of a picture that you can understand the nuance I'm talking about. So, someone you care about pulls back slightly. Maybe they don't text back right away like they often would, or maybe they are a little bit late sometimes the last couple of weeks to your coffee dates. It's not really a specific behavior, it's not a specific ask of you, it's just sort of generic interactions. There's no conflict, there's no rejection that you can name. It is just a subtle shift that you picked up consciously or often unconsciously or kind of partial. Your body tightens, maybe your heart kind of races a little bit the next time you see them, your stomach kind of feels uneasy, something just feels off and you feel uncomfortable in your body. And that discomfort starts to escalate over time or escalates like that. So then the tension is hitting, the urgency comes, the pressure to problem solve starts trickling in. You feel this being compelled to check in with them. Is everything okay? Clarify, did I do anything wrong? Is anything up? Are you okay? What's going on in your life? You're seeking some information, right? You want maybe some reassurance. You want to give them reassurance. Maybe you start to think of explaining things, trying to kind of look for information. If I explain to them, I've been stressed and so on, maybe they will offer me information that helps my mind make sense of why my body was feeling what it was feeling. So, this is not done because you're explicitly concerned about someone not liking you, but because there is uncertainty and discomfort in your body and it starts to feel unbearable, and your mind has no explicit situation to tag it to. Right? Something just felt off, and your mind starts best guessing and filling in the blanks. It is just trying to figure out what's going on. This is emotional overfunctioning. There's no certain starting point, no specific ask. It is just sensations that start coming up in your body, and you start working really hard trying to figure out why because you want them to stop. So here's another example to really try and feel into the difference. A conversation ends without any clear resolution. Now, it doesn't have to be highly charged and a ton of conflict. Things just feel a little bit uncertain, unsure. You start to feel a little restless. You can't really settle. And you just feel that urge like, I just got to send one more text. I just need to clarify. And it's not because you want to look good, and it's not necessarily like I need to know that I'm liked. I just need to send that text to try and get some information to make those sensations stop. I need to clarify whatever feels not clear, right? There's no solid anything here. It's just this sort of general feeling that you are looking to solve and find some relief from. So, I don't know, is this starting to click? Can you start to feel into the difference between these two types of behaviors? Can you see some of the subtle ways that they play out, whether it's starting in your mind with thoughts and people pleasing and judgments and value based, I should be this way, and different situations and scenarios where it started in your body? So the difference is this: what happens if you don't act? If you don't take on that extra work assignment, or you don't send that last text message to clarify the discomfort. So if you don't act and your mind spirals into thoughts and thinking and overthinking, like, what does this say about me? How did I come across? What will they think of me? Am I a hard worker? This is people pleasing, and its origin is often in the mind with thoughts and judgments and beliefs, and then your body kicks in with that discomfort. Now, if you don't act and your body is escalating, something felt a little bit uncertain, you start to feel that tension, that urgency, something just feels off and you feel really restless or irritable. This is often emotional over functioning, and there's a lot of sensations in your body, and then your mind kicks up and is trying to problem solve where they came from because there was no clear, specific interaction that they came from. You're not really sure when and where and why it started, but it started. So the behavior can look the same on the outside, but that internal sort of system that's driving it can be a little bit different or a lot different. So, yes, sometimes it is both people pleasing and emotional overfunctioning. Of course, they can happen together, and I really am splitting emotional hairs here, if you will. But what happens when both are activating is we can think about attachment, connection, and proximity are feeling threatened. They're feeling maybe not as stable as they were feeling previously. And simultaneously, your nervous system is really struggling to tolerate that uncertainty, that discomfort, those sensations and emotions in your body. So the mind is going to say, I can't afford to upset them. I'm going to people please. And your body is saying, I need to stop this sensation. It's highly uncomfortable. I do not like this. One system usually leads, and the other one reinforces and follows behind. So the distinction here can really help you think about where to start in your healing work and your self-supportive behaviors, whether you start with the mind and the limiting beliefs and those mental structures, or whether you start with your physical body, your nervous system regulation, and somatic therapy tools, things that are body supportive. So, people pleasing requires a lot of challenging those relational beliefs, tolerating disapproval, identity and boundary work, a lot of cognitive based tools. Now, emotional overfunctioning work requires a lot of nervous system containment and regulation and learning co regulation from a safe and trusted person. It's learning to not act on urgency sensations just for that quick discharge of discomfort. And it is increasing capacity for that activation, being able to stay with that discomfort long enough to find the proper tools to deal with it instead of jumping into the behaviors that look like people pleasing. So, if you treat one like the other, you can easily stay stuck and blame yourself for not trying hard enough, not knowing better, or shaming yourself that, well, I'm just destined to be like this forever. I can't seem to change. I want to leave you with this one thing. People pleasing is often about who you're afraid of losing or who you want to impress and what people think about you. And emotional overfunctioning is more about the capacity for your body to be present and feel very human and anticipated sensations and emotions if you are living a human life, which, if you're watching this, you are. Can you feel the difference now between the two? Can you feel and think about examples of the nuance of the two, whether things start in your mind or your body? So here's a hot take from a counselor. You can outgrow people pleasing cognitively, your understanding, but still be stuck in emotional overfunctioning somatically in your body. Your body may still be more sensitive and receptive to different things that are non-specific, that are just activating. It could be a facial expression of the grocery store clerk, and your body starts feeling all this type of processing, and then you're, organizing your stuff on the belt, and you make a lot of conversation with them, asking about their day. You step into this emotional overfunctioning to smooth out that tension, right? So you didn't miss the lesson, you didn't fail anything. It's just really looking at the difference between the two. So, if this explained something that you've been stuck in for a long time, there's a deeper clarity tool that I offer. You can check the description below, or you can look at the link in my bio. It is the Emotional Overfunctioning Reset that is going to give you some definitions, but it's going to give you some somatic tools to work through this process. Now, if you found this helpful, don't forget to save it, share it along with someone else who may also find it helpful. And if you really enjoyed this emotionally precise work, I'm Chrissy, the emotional intelligence nurse. Subscribe, follow along for more information just like this.